made just for me with barbs on it. So what I do is I come to the property and I walk all the tunnels down, and then when they move, I spear them, and they come right up out of the ground on the spear because of the barbs. But I started doing this back a long time ago, and I never counted how many I got then. But then in 2015, I got an albino mole, which was all white. And when I pulled him out of the ground, I thought it was a rat. And I started screaming because I don't like rats or mice. But anyway, so I took a picture of him and I went to Cabela's, and they wanted him because they have like a little section for albinos. And I went and got him stuffed. And by the time I got him stuffed and everything, they had merged with Bass Pro or Pro Bass or whatever, and then they weren't interested in him. So that's fine, I still have him. But anyways, my mole count is, I'm at 970 moles. And I've been doing it since, 2012 or so. But I'm sure I'm past 1,000 because I didn't count. And so Josh invited me to kind of just let everybody know what I do. It's kind of unique. I don't have any competition, not yet. I'm 71, and I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do it, because some of these people that hire me, they have like 4 and 5 acres. And I get my walking in, definitely. But anyways, I'm very happy to be here, and I think it's going to be a very interesting evening. So thank you for listening to me, and I have cards if anybody's interested. So, yes.
Send you to Washington.
Pardon? What was that?
We should send you to Washington.
Oh, no, but I have a real quick story. A friend of mine told her friend, and they own a business in Indianapolis, Indiana. And he has a plane, and he wanted to fly me to Indianapolis to kill his moles. But I don't fly, so anyways.
So how did you get started chasing?
Well, when I was a little girl, I used to kill gophers. You know, we'd put the hose down in the hole, and then we'd stand, we always found the exit. And then we stood there with a broom, or if we were quick, we could stomp them with our foot. But how I got started was at our new property. I walked out and the yard was just full of moles. And the sun, it was early in the morning and there was dew on the grass. And I could see the ground moving. And I had my grandpa's old fishing spear. And I ran in the shed and I got it. And I could see the ground moving, and I really didn't know, but I just speared it. And he come right up out of the ground, and that's kind of how I got started. I just went to all my friends, and they used me. And so it's been a great adventure, and I've met some of the nicest people. And I think that's what I love so much about it, is the people that I meet. So I guess I'll give it back to our host, Josh. Thank you.
Now, I think Shelly has killed, 6 moles at my house last couple years?
Yes.
The boys always like when she's there too, because they're like, what is that lady doing walking around our yard? So they watch her the whole time. It's pretty cool. So, no, we appreciate it. They're bad. They get out of control, and Hillsdale's got a lot of them. So if you guys need her to take care of them, she'll get them for you. So, one of our longtime members, Lou, has some things he'd like to share with us. I'm going to bring him up here and let him take it away here for a second. Don't need it?
Don't need it.
All right. Turn it off, save the battery.
All right, thank you. Well, folks, We live in a swamp, and we're surrounded by alligators. And a week ago tonight, in a blatant example of cancel culture, they expelled us from the fair. Now, I think in a time like this, we need to step back and examine the nature of our opponents and why we fight. In order to understand the nature of our opponents, to get to their core, we've got to go back to 1848, to Karl Marx and the Communist Manifesto. His opening lines say that a specter is haunting Europe, the specter of communism. This specter still exists today. It's fundamentally the same. But we don't call it communism. It is now called globalism. And yes, a specter is haunting Hillsdale County. It is the specter of globalism. And the mechanism through which globalism wields power and influence in Hillsdale County is through our local rhino office holders. Don't think that we don't have Marxist totalitarianism here in Hillsdale County today. We've got 2 brave women facing 7 years in prison for uncovering fraud and the truth about a fraudulent election here in Hillsdale County. It was through this same mechanism that the globalists took the prosperous country of Venezuela and changed it into a Marxist cesspool. And don't think it can't happen here. Right now, the effects of globalism are fairly mild. But due to globalism, we have hospitals here that must follow United Nations protocols, even if those protocols will kill you. Due to globalism, you have the satanic perversion of transgenderism being taught in our public schools. I talked with a school board member, I'll let him be unnamed. I said, why are you allowing this in our schools? He said, well, we could lose state funding. We could lose federal funding. So these rhinos are selling us out just for funding. Due to globalism, we were having a road diet shoved down our throat. These road diets don't come from the grassroots. They are a top-down thing. We've got road diets from Maine to California. But it's a top-down thing pushed by globalist consultants on local communities. But I guess what they're going to do here is pay several $100,000 to transfer a 4-lane road into a 2-lane road, which is another stupidity. Due to globalism, we have prime farmland being turned into solar farms in this area in which more than 50% of the days are cloudy. Okay? We ask ourselves why we fight. We fight to prevent the gates of hell from prevailing against our children and grandchildren. And that's it. Thank you. That's why I joined the John Birch Society. If you want to fight globalism,
Thanks, Lou. I appreciate you spending some time and communicating all that. So that's great. Our next speaker is going to be Teresa Rutan, the chair of the Women's Republican Party here in Hillsdale. She'll give some updates on what's going on there with them and upcoming events and meetings and all the good stuff. So she'll get you up to speed here real quick. So.
I don't talk very loud, or I think I do, but I don't. All right, so the first thing we've got coming up is October 11th. We are having a Saturday meeting at the Big B in Hillsdale, 9:30 to 11:30. We're mapping out a plan for 2026, talking about what we did, what we didn't do, what we probably should have done, what was the good, what was the bad. How do we need to improve for 2026? Big B is gracious enough to allow groups to come in and use their dining hall for meetings. You have to purchase your goodies, and we have to purchase coffee to be able to use that for free. So donuts and muffins will be covered by the women's group. If anybody who's coming, if you could buy a cup of coffee to help cut that expense down for us. We also have some flags. These are just some pictures. I've got the actual flags, but we purchased 5 flags of the 250th celebration. They're $20 a piece, and then the other one looks like this. They'll be out there on the table. The next thing that we're doing is November 10th at Liberty Hall. We are having a documentary on the Hello Girls. They were the operators during World War I. So we're gonna watch a couple of documentaries, and it's gonna be movie night. We're gonna enjoy some popcorn. That's about all I have for now. So who's next?
Thank you, Teresa.
I know a big part in regards to that planning meeting that Teresa just spoke about is a big joint effort we're going to be kind of laying the groundwork for to do a big celebration next summer, tying in our our family fun night, our Toys for Tots fundraiser we do in July, kind of bringing all that together with multiple groups and doing something pretty extravagant. It's an important anniversary, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. So looking forward to working with that group and everything that they do for us. So we have another guest here tonight, Mayor candidate Matt Bentley. I'd like to bring him up and kind of let him kind of get us up to speed on the campaign and things coming up. The election's coming up quick, so everyone, welcome Matt.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you. I didn't prepare anything. I didn't expect to be here today necessarily, but thank you, Josh, for the opportunity. The only thing I might mention is we had a committee meeting. I know most of you are from out of town, so this might matter, but the Public Services Committee met to discuss the special assessments, the $5,000 special assessments for each property in Hillsdale to get your road fixed. So they decided on Oak Street and a couple other, South Street, and they're gonna try to collect $5,000 from all the houses on those streets. And I tried to warn them, as I have in the past, that if my understanding is correct, 51% of the owners of those properties, if they object, then special assessments won't be, and so the projects won't go forward. So I don't know where it's going to go from here. It's going to become contentious, I believe. We have a council meeting on Monday, and you're all welcome to come speak from the podium. And the campaign's going pretty well. There was a couple Channel 6 out of Jackson. A reporter did a report on me and on Scott Sessions. And there's been some articles in the Collegian and the Hillsdalean, and of course the Hillsdale County Review. So if you have any questions about any of that or anything else.
Matt, you led a meeting, a week after our last monthly meeting at the library, I believe.
Ah, yes.
How did that go? Please speak on that.
So that was fun. Mark, of course, recorded it, so it's available for your viewing pleasure. Thank you, Mark. I would say there was 75, 80 people in the room. I would guess 2/3 of them were against the diet, but all the many downtown business owners came and charged the podium first, so most of the speakers ended up being pro-diet. But there was one, and I think it's on your channel, Evan Mekas gave kind of a barn burner send up of the ridiculousness of the road diet. So that was the high point. Oh, and I should also mention, it was a special, I called a special session at the library, and 4 of the councilmen did not show up, so it was not a legitimate meeting because I guess they didn't want to hear what the people had to say. So anyway, thank you. Anybody else?
So you're the only person on council there?
No. Councilman Bruns, Mayor Pro Tem Palladino, and Dr. Wolfram were all there.
So the usual suspect.
Essentially. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to say something on the special assessment. According to a Federal Reserve study, over half the people in this country cannot financially handle an unexpected bill of $400. So to assess people $5,000 to get their streets fixed is really a tool of oppression.
Especially after they've already paid taxes on their road.
Exactly.
I can't disagree, and we'll see what happens, but it seems to me that the people, now that we know, because the Berry Street, I don't know if any of you remember Berry Street back in February, March, April, they organized themselves and they got the runaround, but they stuck with it. A gentleman named Tim Palelli did the heavy lifting there, and it turned out by the end of it that they defeated the road diet there. So presumably Berry Street won't get fixed for another generation, unless I have anything to do with it. But what I think we learned from that is that the process doesn't have to be onerous. There isn't some timetable that has to be in, some forms that have to be filled out correctly. If I'm not mistaken, it's signatures and dates on a piece of paper, and that's how easy it is. And if it's that easy, then I don't think there's a neighborhood in this town that can't get 51%. So I say I warned the powers that be, and I hope that they will compromise, because otherwise the whole program goes to zero. So we'll see what happens.
Can we collect signatures for those people and turn them into council?
Absolutely, there will be an organized, I've heard from people on Oak Street and South Street that they are already organizing to collect those signatures. So yes, I can put you in touch. But it's only at the preliminary stages, because this has only gotten back on the radar the last meeting. Yes, sir.
Okay, the whole 51% thing, it's a ruse of, well, you have a choice of nothing. If I've already paid my taxes for my road, and if I get 51% of my neighbors to go along with me, then we don't get our road done, and we're supposed to be happy about that.
That's right.
See, we get a choice of nothing, and government goes, well, we give you choice.
Yes,
No, that's no choice at all.
that's right.
So how about 65% and we can throw somebody off the council? That's what I'd like better.
Well, the getting it's getting a little late for recalls, but we are going to have 5 seats on council out of a 9-person council, plus the mayor, so technically 6 in 2026. So we are hoping to get organized and make a push to get a majority so that we can, well, hopefully we can figure out this special assessment thing before then, but there's, as you all can imagine, many other things lined up that need to be fixed for the people.
What if the citizens of Oak Street gathered together, pooled their money together, laid new pavement down on that road in the middle of the night, and the next day woke up and they had a brand new road and didn't talk to the city about it? What could the city do?
I do not know.
Put them all in jail.
Yeah.
Because that road is last.
The last time I was here, though, I heard, I think somebody from Adams Township, I can't remember, was trying to say that, and that it doesn't even work out there, so I don't know how it would
I
work.
just don't know how anybody would, on city council or law enforcement could enforce.
They got a lot of tricks. I don't know all their
Yeah,
tricks.
they'll give you another no choice.
Yeah, that's right. So,
Matt,
anyway,
you made
yes, sir.
mention of my channel, and for those that don't know, it's on YouTube. It's The Adams Times.
The Adams Times on YouTube is Mark Nichols' channel, and he does great work, including this, presumably.
This should be going up on YouTube.
And other media to watch are the Hillsdalean, which is on Substack, and Hillsdale County Review, which is on Substack, the Hillsdale Daily News, of course. And we've been getting a lot more attention lately from Fox 47 and Channel 6. So,
And if anybody's not been reading them, what's the article that the group here is putting out, Josh? The ones that,
Lance would have to speak on that, I can't remember the name of it.
but if,
What have they spent at the airport in general, in their several projects there, how much they spent there in a couple of years?
a lot. But the good news is, there's a new airport manager, and I can't say enough good things about him. He's a townie. He fell in love with aviation as a 10, 11-year-old. He made a career out of it, and now he wants to come back and run Hillsdale Airport eventually, as soon as possible, no cost to the city. It's been over, operating costs alone have been over $100,000 going back years. Just the operating costs, let alone the special grants and the special projects and the new terminal. But going forward, it's very hopeful, and he wants to have community. He wants to have community outreach. He's always inviting everybody. He wants to get a restaurant out there maybe and have events. He's got a great vision for the airport. So as much as we may have sunk into it before now, going forward, I think it's hopeful.
and Matt,
Yes, sir.
You said that about the road diet, you had a meeting at the library then, and that the majority of the people that were there were in favor of the road diet?
By my estimation, no. 2/3 would have been against the road diet.
Okay.
And by my estimation, 90% of Hillsdale would be against the road diet. But the speakers that showed up were for the road diet. They were downtown business owners. So, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Going back to the airport for a second, is there a board that we can get onto the board and support this new?
Yes, there's an airport board. That's all I can say about it, but that's a good idea. It's owned by the city, so presumably it might have to be city folk, but I don't know. A lot of these boards, BPU, TIFA even, like many of them have non-Tom's folk in them, so I don't know the answer to that. But yes, sir.
We did have a member check in on that. Ours supposed to be in town, to be on these various boards. And there's even some shady things going on that for some of the people that are on these boards. That needs to be straightened out.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Same thing.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it.
All right, a lot of good stuff there. Make sure you're out, talking about this election. Talking to your neighbors, talking to folks live in the city, and make sure they're engaged and participating. That's the biggest thing that we've faced here in the past few years is just the lack of participation, especially in a primary or a special election. What are we getting? 35% of the voters to turn out and actually, cast their vote? That's not a good representation of all the people that are in this county. So we need to continue to encourage folks to get out there and do their civic duties. So. I guess the next thing, we don't have anything official in regards to this, but if John and Lance would like to come up, those were our two headliners for our fair booth this week.
I'll go get Lance.
Okay. I know that a lot of folks have some questions in regards to everything that kind of went down, so once we get those guys in here, and we'll just keep an open forum, open questionnaire, and get everyone up to speed so everyone knows what's going on there and what the next steps are. So.
Hello all. Well, what an eventful fair. We started out, we set up Saturday. Leanne said, oh no, we're gonna set up Sunday. Teresa and I said, no, we're setting up Saturday. And we did, and it was a good thing, so we didn't have to set up in the rain. But that worked out well. And then while we were there, we had the tractor pulls and all the other heavy engine stuff while we're trying to talk to people. And then as soon as we get done with the big engines, we had chainsaw carving right next to us too. That was great. Great people, but not conducive to our type of booth. Our booth involves communication with people, and you can't do that in the middle of a chainsaw carving or a super stock tractor pull. So Lance went around the fair and counted up the different empty positions there were, and he went up to Sabine, the new fair manager, and he said to her, we can't really have our booth there that well. Is there something you can do for us? And they worked out where we would move. What was it, Monday night we moved? We packed all up Monday night. Yeah, Monday night we packed all up. Yeah, it's Monday night at the close of the fair. We packed all up from down there and moved it in 15 minutes all the way up to the new Merchants building in spots 7 and 8. So we were all set up there and doing well. And then on Thursday morning, Sabine came down. Dr. Spencer and Josh Gritzmaker had beat me to the booth, and they were there. And just before I had come in, and now this is secondhand information, but you guys correct me if I'm wrong, Sabine came down and she said, we've had some complaints about your flyer. Now we had Lewis's flyer on a sandwich board, both sides, and we had the flyer for Abe Dane on the front of that. Been posted there since the very beginning. And she come down and she said, we've had complaints, the fair board's made a decision, as long as you don't hand out any more of those flyers, everything will be fine. Am I correct on that? Josh had brought up there might be some people that want to get the QR code to go to that article to read. And Josh queried her whether they could show that, and she agreed.
As long as we don't pass out the flyers. She doesn't want them being passed out to the public.
Okay, so, go ahead.
I've got a question. To me, passing out flyers means having the flyers in your arm,
Yes.
passing them out to people in the aisle. But if you just leave them on the sandwich board for people to take to their own free will, that's not passing them out.
So I had only been there for 5 minutes when she came to talk to me, and that was the first time I'd been able to have time to come to the fair. I didn't even know that the flyer was posted in a poster like there. She didn't talk about it. She showed me a picture of the flyer, and she asked me to not pass those out, and I went over to where the pile was and discarded all of them.
Every one of them.
And I said, okay, we're good. And she's like, yep, thank you very much. She was very nice, very cordial.
Mhm.
She didn't come down there, like, guns blazing. She just, hey, this is the decision, this is what I want you to do, and we executed that immediately.
What was offensive about this flyer?
There was a local politician.
The picture of Abe Dane on it. Go ahead.
Yes, who was there for the Abe Dane interaction? Can you talk about that?
Yes, that's the one. It was the Abe Dane flyer.
No, but he showed up in the booth.
Oh, yeah, we're getting to that, yeah. So after she'd come down and did that, I just wanted to make sure, because that was secondhand information to me. I wasn't there when it happened, so I wanted to confirm that that is exactly the truth. About 11:30, quarter to 12, 12 o'clock, somewhere right around there, Abe Dane came from the fair board, or from the fair office, came all the way through the end door, walked up to our booth, and very cordially said, guys, I just want you to know I didn't make the complaint. And I responded back to him with, Abe, I didn't think you did. Then he looked at the poster and he goes, I think it's good press anyway. He laughed, I laughed, he left the building. It was all very cordial.
And, Lance, were you there yet for any stuff like that? I wasn't there yet.
He was not.
So John, myself, and Dan Spencer were there to have that discussion with Abe.
We witnessed that firsthand. So they left a little bit later on. My wife came, I was in the booth. Lance was in the booth. Who else was there with us? Who else was there Thursday night with us? Was it just, it was just three of us. Oh yeah, in case. And across from us that whole evening, in the Hillsdale Hospital booth, was Jeremiah J. Hodshire, his wife, and Penny Swan. Now, things were still cordial. We never said anything to them. They never said anything to us. We didn't, there was no snide comments. There was no, I've got a dachshund, so any dachshund owners in here? Okay, so there was no side eye or anything, okay? None of that. If you're a dachshund owner, you know what the side eye is. Go ahead.
Sorry, they were in the Hillsdale Hospital booth?
Yes.
Was that like next to the Lifeway booth?
Right across from us.
Lifeway.
Randy Corner from Lifeway.
Lifeway's down just a little bit. So they were there all night. Now, Tuesday morning, after we moved to the, Tuesday night after we moved to the Merchants Building, the one gentleman there that does the thing, he was kind of like the building super, but he wasn't the building super. They didn't have a building super at that point in time. But he told me, I can't remember his name, I'm horrible with names. No, it was not Jack, it was the other guy. So I wore a name for 30 years, so I knew who I was for years. I thought it was Naj. But anyway, I'm not good with names. So feel free to laugh. You'll get your money's worth. Right? So he had come up and he said, yeah, we're going to start implementing these things where you have to be there at 10 and gone at 10. A lot of people are leaving their booths early or not coming in early enough. And I said, oh, well, we've tried to make sure that we've always got somebody. He goes, nah, it's not you guys, you're good. He said, but I'm working a lot of hours here. He said, they're going to make a building superintendent here. And I want to introduce him to you. And I said, okay. Now that particular night, I happened to leave my phone in the booth, and Ethan there helped me from the parking lot go to make sure that I could secure my phone before they locked the building up. So the very next night, very next morning, he introduced me to Jack, and I don't know his last name. Hartzell? Is that what?
Might it be
It's Jack.
Hassensaw?
What is it?
Hassensaw? Might be that?
Jack Hatsoff, is that what you said?
Hassensaw. Hassensaw.
Jack H. Jack H. In his mid-30s, nice guy, introduced him to me, I shook his hand. We very cordial with one another and had a relationship. So Thursday night, everything went fine. We were talking with Sarah Wilcox, that we'd help do a petition for Redskins, to keep the Redskin name, not let the woke ideology throw it out. She was from Camden Frontier. And so we were having a discussion with her, and Penny and JJ and his wife had left. And shortly after they were gone, and Sarah left the booth, I had turned around, and Jack comes up to the front of our booth, and he addresses me like this. Mr. Rutan, I've been informed that you have to pick up your booth and leave the fairgrounds tonight. Well, I'm a little bit at a shock because I don't quite know what's going on. And so I'm like, what? He goes, you're being kicked out. I said, for what? You know what for? You're not following the rules. All right. So Lance said, under whose authority? He goes, I'm not at liberty to say. Okay. You can't tell me why. You can't tell me who. But you're telling me I have to pick up right now and leave. And we paid what, $600? $550 for that space. So I thought, okay. So I was talking to him as cordial as I'm talking to you right now. And I told him, I said, well, I'm gonna have to empty my truck out. You're gonna have to allow me to go home and empty my truck so that I can come back and I can get everything in the booth. And he said, well, we'll be here, we'll watch your booth, and we'll keep the door open, we'll do what we need to do so you can get your stuff out of here. I said, okay. So I went and got in my truck and went to Liberty Hall, emptied everything out of my truck, and headed back to the fairgrounds. And we got everything in the truck and loaded up in the truck, and then
before all that happened, you said we had an agreement with Sabine.
Oh yeah.
That things we stopped.
I tried to, and I saw that it was doing nothing, but you know, Mark Twain said, never teach a pig to sing, it only irritates the pig and wastes your time. Sometimes you gotta know when you're talking to a pig. So, I tried to explain that what Sabine had said, he was having none of it, so I wasn't going to teach the pig to sing because I could see that it was irritating the pig, and I knew I was just wasting my time. So, I just let it go, got the truck, loaded everything up. After we got everything loaded up, I said to the one guy that is the one that said that we've got a building supervisor coming, I said, is Jack anywhere around? I'd like to talk to Jack. Before I leave, I want to leave on a good note. And they said, well, let us get him. So they called, we waited 15 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
About 15 minutes for him to finally show up. And he showed up, and as a gentleman, and I talked to him, see, I could tell that he was +1. I worked in a prison for a long time, and as an officer, when you come in at +1, it forces the inmates to go to +2. Then you have to go to +3, and then pretty soon it's just a really bad night. So you learn how to talk to people and come in and let them choose what level it goes to. Always works better. So I was trying to, I could see that he was kind of hyped up, and so I was trying to talk very monotone and very slow and very low to try to bring him down. And so he came in, and I put my hand out to shake his hand, and I said, Jack, I'm sorry, we didn't intend to cause any problems or anything. And he goes, well, the only people that knew that you were getting thrown out is us and you. And he said, already it's all over Facebook. I said, Jack, when you told us we had to leave, I put it out on our messenger stream for 2 reasons. To see if we could solicit some help to load this thing up, because it was him, I, and my wife to load this thing up. So I was trying to solicit help, number one, in case. Second thing is, anybody that was getting ready to go to bed because they were going to come into the booth the next morning to run needed to know that it wasn't running. And so from there, it got put out on Facebook. I told him, Jack, what people do with it from there, I have no control over. Because see, in essence, this comes down to a free speech First Amendment issue. It really does. I believe in free speech, and obviously they don't. So if I put it out and somebody else with their own free will takes that and says something, that's completely on them, not me. But interestingly, is as soon as it did go out there, the first person that commented on it, or second, was Penny Swan. And she knew all of the details, and she wasn't there when we got thrown out, so that was kind of mind-blowing too. It was one of those, kind of moments. Go ahead.
I was browsing on Facebook, and she said she stuck around to watch you get kicked out.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Huh.
She's good at hiding.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't see her anywhere. I did sense, but anyway, so that went on, and so I said to Jack, I tried to explain to him, I said, Jack, let me give you some advice from an old man to a young man. I said, we had a relationship, we shook hands, we had a rapport. I said, all you needed to do is come to me in that same relationship, that same rapport, and give me the choice of where it was going to go. I wouldn't have treated you any different. I said, but when you're working in security, he said, I'm not working security. I said, well, when you're doing this, it is a security function. And so just take that advice from an old man to a young man. And I've never seen, he must have had so much adrenaline in his system. I don't know, it's because he talked himself up to what it was going to be or what, but I've never seen anybody tremble so bad in my life. I mean, just tremble.
Maybe it was cold.
Yeah, it was cold that day. Good call. But I think what it was the amount of adrenaline that was in his system that had released into his system.
We weren't really scary.
I wasn't scary. My wife says I am. I'm not scary. I'm a big, lovable teddy bear. But anyway, so at that point in time, with everybody standing around there, he goes, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Turned around and stormed away. And so I just looked at everybody there and said, sorry, everyone. And the other thing is, before we left, I said, Jack, you told us that we had to pack our stuff up and leave the fairgrounds. I said, I have a question. Am I being personally trespassed from the fair? And he goes, well, I wouldn't think so. I said, here's the problem. We already had a he said, she said misunderstanding. Sabine said one thing, you understood it to be something else, we have nothing in writing. I don't want to show up Saturday with my grandkids and, the undersheriff, the president of the board go, well, Jack did tell him to leave the fairgrounds. That's a trespass. Let's arrest him. I didn't want that to happen. So I wanted to be very clear where I stood on that. So I said, well, can you find out, Jack? And he goes, no, everybody's gone, but if you leave your name and number, somebody will get back with you. I'm still waiting. Nobody got back with me. So that was what happened from my perspective.
Okay, so the next day, I go to the fair office, and I asked to speak with the president or a board member, preferably the president, or preferably Sabine, but she was busy with the grandstand event that was going on, so she wasn't available. But Nate Lambright, the undersheriff and current president of the fair board, managed to find his way up there, along with some guy named Lance Griffin, another Lance.
Was it Lance Fansler?
Might be that one.
Lance Fansler. I know Lance.
And Jack.
Jack, okay.
So they all came in, and I asked Mr. Lambright what he thought of us getting removed from the fair. And he he took responsibility for being the one to say that we were the ones to be kicked out of the fair. Or he was the one that kicked us out of the fair. He made the call. So we figured that out, at least at that point in time. I then went into, is this a like why, what for, tried to go over everything that happened. He was having none of it. It ended with basically, this isn't a community fair and the community has no part in it. I have a video that shows all of this. Yes.
No, excuse me.
Oh, thanks. That will probably come out sooner or later. We were waiting to try to get this under control without causing too much more of an issue, which it's on them if this becomes an issue or not. We're just trying to get people to be able to go to the fair and say what they want and be what they need to do without, nobody broke any rules. No rules were broken at the fair.
There was no intent to break any rules.
But that's not totally true because they broke their own rules.
Well, there's no intent on our side. When they come down and talk to us, we were more than willing to comply. That's what we were doing.
And then, yeah.
Sorry. Well,
No, you're fine.
Threats?
did you get some? That's right.
I get it when I'm driving.
Pictures of the Whitmer and Trump stuff, that was equally as bad?
Well,
Well-
that was one of the things I brought up.
Yeah.
I said, see, there's two legal
doctrines involved here. Private property, and we went through this during COVID, just let me, amuse me here just a little bit. During COVID, a lot of people said, I walked in there and they said, you gotta have a mask, and I told them, you can't violate my rights. And I said, private property, they can't violate your rights, only the government can violate your rights. The individual can't. It's just like if you're in my house and I say, no F word, and you use the F word, and I physically pick you up and throw you out, I have the right to do that. Private property rights, okay? So, no, you don't have a First Amendment. Ask my kids. They didn't have a First Amendment right in my house. They didn't have any rights in my house. They lived in my house. So, I understand private property rules. However, there is a legal doctrine that if let's say at my house, I allow the Michigan State University, the University of Michigan, or the Michigan State University Extension Office to come and spend some of their money on my property, I now fall under state and federal rule because that money that they were given is federal and state tax money. And when they use that federal and state tax money on my private property, I fall under that because on my private property, then at that point in time, using money that people were forced to pay in theft or taxes, and I tell them they can't speak, that is a violation of the First Amendment rights because of that tax money. It's quasi government. Yeah, this is how farmers lose control of their land. So that's the first legal doctrine. Now there's another legal doctrine in play here. The other legal doctrine is, let's say I have a boilerplate contract with each and every one of you. And in each and every one of your contracts, it says no one can sit in that chair. No one. But tomorrow I let Steve sit there. And him and I joke, and everybody else looks around. I don't say anything about it. And then Josh sits there. And him and I joke, and everything's fine. And nobody says anything. But then Dan comes over and sits there, and I go, hey, you're in violation of contract. You breached your contract, I'm kicking you out. I can't do that. It's called precedence. And if the fairground has allowed the Democrat Party to say things about Trump that some people would find objectionable, and they have allowed the Republican Party to say things about Biden that some people would find objectionable, then I can't be thrown out for what they say is objectionable. The other thing is, let's go to rule number 3. It says, go ahead.
Okay, so in this video that I have, the president of the fair, Nate Lambright, agreed with that point. Wholeheartedly agreed with that point. They can do what they want, he said. Apparently that rule does not apply to us.
So, the other legal doctrine that's involved here is, where was I going with that? Oh, number 3, yes, thank you. My mind. conscience. Rule number 3, it says that we can throw anybody out if they're doing something that we find objectionable. Now, whose standard is objectionable? See, this is subjective. I cannot have something that is that subjective and ambiguous in a contract. If I was to take this to state court and fight it, the state court, I would win. They'd go, yeah, your contract number 3 is doo-doo. You need to give a list of objective things that can and cannot be said. So, it is too ambiguous. It is subjective, not objective. So I would win on that point alone in state court. And then the last legal doctrine. They are a 501c3. Yeah, they will lose their 501c3 status because of what they did. And that doesn't even take court. All I have to do is give what happened to the IRS, and when they say to the IRS what they did, they're going to lose their 501c3. So at that point in time, they're no longer a nonprofit. They're going to have to pay on all of that, and they might lose ownership of that property. So, did they set themselves up for a lot of harm? Yes. Could we go in there and absolutely smash that place like a china shop of glass? Yes, but we don't want to. That's not the intent. But why is it that we always get pushed to that point?
So it is also an agricultural society under the Agricultural Act of 1855. That is what makes it not technically private property. It is a community fair. The community owns the fair. That is why there is a fair board set up by the community. That is, you pay $10 and you get to vote who runs the fair.
And that's why they have to allow that way.
I was just denied paying my $10 to become a member of the fair, to have a vote. They refused to take my money.
Because they decided that his application now had to go before the board when it never has done that any time in the past ever. I've contacted ex-board members and they said, no, we've never done that.
So, yep, okay.
So the difference is, were you just signing up to be an ag member, or were you running to be a board member?
No, just sign up to be a member.
No,
just sign up to be a member.
A board member does have to go before like
Correct.
a committee and do
Yes.
like an interview.
Correct.
But the ag society is simply paying the $10.
Yes.
That's what
And
we're doing.
you get your card and
Correct.
that's it.
Correct, yes.
So the ag member is what the application is.
Yes.
Right.
And that's the one that had to be under review.
And the reason-
Every other ex-board member told me they've never done that as long as they can remember.
And that is a separate issue, so there's two issues there. They refused to take my money, and they told me that the application would have to go before the board before they even considered taking my money. Both of those go against the Agricultural Act of 1855.
Also violates the 501c3.
And it violates 501c3. But in violation of the Agricultural Act, they can lose, if we were stubborn enough and all this stuff, and we wanted to burn down the fair and all this stuff, we could totally go to a judge here with very easily. All it would take is a motion to get this before a judge. And
I know how to write.
we could have them removed from their positions. All it would take was a motion. And as long as the judge is fair and understands the law, which is iffy around here.
That's a big if.
But instead, we are trying our absolute best to get people to spread the word and pay $10 to become a member of the fair board, so we can then, as a community,
Have some common sense.
get somebody on the fair board that is in agriculture, because it is an agricultural fair. Last I checked, Nate Lambre has nothing to do with agriculture, absolutely nothing.
He milks the system.
Well, that's true. He's really good at it too. And being a dairy farmer, he's very good at that. So the whole, we're not trying to cause issues. They're the ones causing issues. We're trying to solve the issues.
One thing that happens all the time is, just one second. In fact, this was brought up during the fair. One of the people came and said, when are we gonna join arms and sing Kumbaya and dance around the firelight with s'mores? I said, you know what, I like that too, that'd be fine. But there's a principle that's involved. If I haul off and I slug Lance right now, I caused the injury. That means I'm the only one that can cause the healing. I'm the only one that can come to it and go, hey, sorry, can we let bygones be bygones? That's on me. That's not on him. It's not incumbent on him. It's only on the person who caused the harm. But yet, we repeatedly have harm caused upon us by people who have political power and elected power, and yet I am so nauseous of being told how I need to bring about healing. We've offered we've offered the branch of peace 3 times to have it shoved in our face. In fact, I filed a federal lawsuit that most people don't know about. I filed a federal lawsuit on all of the elected officials and on the judge. And as soon as I pierced the judge's absolute judicial immunity, I ended the case. We have proven our mercy. We've proven our mercy. But you can only ask for mercy if you're willing to give mercy. And we've given it. But yet, they still have their operatives that they send to us and go, well, you guys need to say you're sorry. I didn't cause the harm. Go ahead.
So, how you get on that board is pretty simple. Right now, there's a Cambria spot open.
Mm-hmm.
So,
There's 5 positions that are up on the next, in December.
yes, there are a bunch of them.
Okay.
So, anybody can run for that. And I have been there where I've seen people there are people that have done the interview process and been approved, and then they also ask, is there anybody else here that wants to run for that position, even if you haven't been interviewed?
Mm-hmm.
So in those positions that are open, that's the benefit of if you're an Ag Society member, then you get the letter, you get to show up to that meeting, but then you can also run for that position. So if everybody here was part of the Ag Society, and everybody here showed up to the December meeting, and one of you was Cambria, and one of you were one of all these other places that were open, you get to vote. And if you outvote the 15 people that normally show up to the meeting, now they're out and you're in.
Now, let me.
It's that simple.
Yeah, we understand that, and here's why. The Republican Party, the way the Republican Party works, is precinct delegates. And precinct delegates then come to the county convention, and they get to vote on who the half of the executive board is. And in 2020, we knocked the doors, and we got a whole bunch of people to sign up. And we had more numbers, and we knocked them out. That's why those people in their elected positions in the last 2 elections fixed the election by dropping it from 132 to 100 and putting all their people in and losing our affidavits of identity to put in on the last day, and then agreeing to take it to 132 and dropping it down to 50 and putting people on there like Stan Burkhart, who'd been 24 years the sheriff and never once showed up for a meeting, never once wanted to be a Republican, but now all of a sudden he wants to be a precinct delegate. So we understand what that is, to fill the place and actually do it. The problem is when you have people that fix the election and fix the process, just like they're trying to fix on the agricultural society and the fair board right now, it's what kind of gets us a little bit uppity.
It's not a coincidence they didn't take my application. Any questions?
Did they say anything about you couldn't do it next year?
No, I said they thank you, I'll see it, I'll be back. I didn't ask any other
You
questions.
didn't say like,
On the
like,
video, he said.
No, I didn't say that.
I would went,
On the video that Lance, took, Nathan Lambert said if he's got anything to do with it, there won't be any political, booths at the fair next year.
that means no elected officials then either.
And which is an election year, so
That means
people
no
would wanna buy booths
petitions,
to promote.
nominating petitions, right?
Because see, this is the next thing. They are pushing for no politics at the fair. They think that that is just the Republican Party booth, the Democrat Party booth, and our booth. They think that's what politics is.
And that's not-
They do not understand that the sheriff's booth, all of the government booths, are extremely more political than the political booths.
Mhm.
Give him credit for having intelligence?
What's that?
Did you give him credit for having intelligence?
Ooh.
Who?
Who had the intelligence? You almost got me.
Well, the funny thing was, he called it, as soon as I walked in there, he called it a community fair. And then I'm like, well, we have a community fair, so why aren't we acting as a community? And then he goes right into, well, it's not a community fair.
It's hard.
That's what I mean.
It-
He's contradicting.
He contradicts himself, but then he agrees with me when I go back to, well, it's community.
That's why he's a good undersheriff.
Yes.
But did you get a prorated refund?
No. And that's
No.
one of the things we need to ask for.
Well, that's the thing. Josh and I have been emailing Sabine, and I've been trying to get a hold of Fair Board members. Nobody wants to get a hold of us. Sabine's not gotten back a hold of you? I haven't talked to you today.
What was his question, because we didn't hear it over here?
The question was, have we asked for a proration on the booth, the $5.50, to get a portion of that back? And here's why they don't want to get a hold of us. We got a bunch of Charlie Kirk stuff there. Tell me if I'm not mistaken, it went really well.
25% of the sales was going to.
Going to Turning Point. So in reality, if we were thrown out and we said, you know, we could push this and we were wrongfully thrown out, and what we'd like to have is we'd like to have that proration back and the loss of sales that we would have had that day. Be way more than that. And so they're ghosting us and going, oh, well, if I just don't show up. Friday and Saturday was the big day. Friday and Saturday was the huge day. Go ahead.
So I have to respond. I'm sorry. You're obviously indicating a reluctance to push this. I think you fail to understand the psychology of psychopathy.
Yeah,
Mercy doesn't matter a damn bit.
not to them.
You have to fight. That's the only
Right.
thing that will make any headway.
And but let me just say this, the only reason why mercy does matter is because we also are fighting the court of public opinion. And so we get all these people go, well, they're bad people, they never gave any mercy, I saw it.
Was the
So we're
public-
trying to fight them too. So what we have to do is the public has to go, well, gee, they were wronged. And that's been hard to do, especially when you've got the narrative of, we are the elected people, we are your leaders, and we will tell you what is right. It's hard to overcome that, and we've been fighting that. Go ahead, Mark.
The Agricultural Society, which runs the fair, is the 513 organization, which makes them exempt from property tax.
Mhm.
Pay no property tax.
Yep.
But they seem to run it like a business,
Yeah.
because they rent out a booth,
Mhm.
and the booth sells merchandise.
Mhm.
And so and they rent out the fair every weekend, or the auction every weekend.
Mhm.
And so it seems like it's a business, not a.
Yeah. But it's a non-profit business under 501c3. And I get where you're going, because the thing is, if they lose that 501c3, I wish Mr. Bentley was still here. Do you realize what the tax would be on that for the city? I'm just saying.
Another thing I've learned that I found interesting, because a lot of the stuff that we do around here, and I know a lot of organizations, a lot of people that operate these organizations are pretty much always volunteer. I'm hearing that the Fair Board is not volunteer, they are getting paid. I find that interesting at the very least.
In fact, Marv Sellier even said, he said, I said this last time when they got rid of Lori and brought this new one in. He said, why do we have a manager that we pay all year long? He said, we don't need that. He said, I run a moving company from my house. He He said, my wife's uncle answers the phone. He could be in his underwear setting up a moving date. Nobody even knows. I told him, if I call you, I know now. But he's right. In the business world today, we don't necessarily need somebody physically there at the fair board 5 days a week, all winter long, that they're paying. So why do they hire these positions and pay this money out?
So there's also different positions. There is the fair board itself that is getting paid. There's their manager that is getting paid, which I believe is separate. And then there's their office staff that is also getting paid. They have multiple paid positions, multiple different levels of people getting paid. Yes, your organization probably needs somebody to run things, and they probably do need to get paid. We would love to have enough money to do that, to pay somebody.
Volunteers the way it goes.
Okay?
Volunteer.
We can vote.
Yeah, my name's on the contract. Sabine knows on Thursday morning that I was in charge of the booth. The insurance is under my name. And, we had a cordial conversation. Not once did they call, not once did they text, not once did they email or notify me. I didn't know that these guys packed up the booth until Friday morning when I was getting up and around for work to hit the road, that this all went down. So I immediately emailed Sabine in regards to what had transpired. I followed and complied with what you asked me to do. If there was still further action that you needed from us, I thought our conversation was very respectful and that we could work together. If the poster in question with the QR code was what they kicked us out for, what would have been the harm to look at the contract, have my phone number there, and give me a call, Josh, hey, I know I told you to remove the flyers, but I need the poster taken down too. I think I probably could have took the poster down blindfolded in 10 seconds. It could have been that simple and resolved. And she didn't respond back to me until Monday afternoon. And
Josh, who did she say made the decision?
she said it was a group or a board decision. I'd have to go back and look at the email, but
Did she say that it was, or was it you that said that they said that the building super was the one that made the decision?
okay, could have been. I have the email. Obviously, I saved it. But,
say.
no. So it was.
At that point, it's supposed to be a board decision if somebody's to get kicked out of the fair. I've been going to the fair my entire life. I've been in open class. I've been in a bunch of different booths or vendor positions. And each building has a supervisor. And they are in charge of that building. They get to have say in what goes on and like keep the peace and all that stuff. But if there is an incident, they don't get to
Unilaterally throw somebody out.
they don't just throw somebody out.
They can decide to fine somebody $25 a day per incident per day. That the building super can do, but if it goes any further than that, it's supposed to be a board action. I've had 3 ex-board members absolutely confirmed that with me. They said it can't just be unilateral, somebody makes the decision and goes, you're out. They can bring the fine down, they can do that until a board meeting is held, but they can't just throw you out.
My favorite part of kind of like hindsight in regards to this is when I left the booth on Thursday, I seen a carny wearing a hat that said masturbator, and then another carny swearing up and down at his machine because they were trying to get things fired up, ready to go for the kids.
But that's not
for the rides.
objectionable under Rule 3.
And if you all went to the fair, I'm sure you guys seen all the merchandise that had all of the, I'm sure people found it objectionable, but apparently not as objectionable as what keeping your government accountable is.
Well, some people had thick skin, some people had very, very thin skin. Go ahead, Ron.
They got away from, it's been several years since, last, let's say just the last 5 years, they got away from being an ag fair. It's not a, when they closed up the horse track, I mean, not to get rid of the horses, but just, it happened about the same time they kind of closed things down, and then their attendance went down.
Well, they treat the agricultural part of the fair like second-class citizens.
Because they're going for the motorsports thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, they mishandled that too.
And my biggest viewpoint from this in regards to these applications to become an ag member is that fair has a ton of potential. You know, there's people, every time we had a booth, we've had a booth there for years now, there's people from all over the place that come there.
Most popular fair on earth.
You know, and I tell you, some of the best political conversations I've had have been at that fair booth with people that, you know, have insight, have knowledge of situations, want to talk about a situation that they haven't been able to talk about with anybody else. And you know, sometimes they're at the booth for 15, 20, 30 minutes talking because they're like, oh, finally I can talk to somebody about this instead of just being online and communicating. So yeah.
3 people from South Africa stopped talking.
Oh, it was fun.
So, you know, I mean, it really is a unique fair, and I think it's very important that anybody that's willing to do this, to try to make a difference, to try to get some people elevated onto that board and get new leadership there, to salvage what that fair could be and for the future. You know, I got little kids that are going to want to enjoy that fair to its fullest extent in the future, and you know, that's my viewpoint, is it's important to do that. So
one of the important things as I was growing up was the 4-H fair.
Absolutely.
And my brother has been involved in raising show sheep for the 4-H fairs. In the last couple of years, I'm not a Hillsdale native, I'm from Monroe County. But in the last couple of years, there's been a steady decrease in 4-H activity, in showing of animals.
Yeah. I brought that up the other day to somebody, and they said, well, it's just because all these kids are on their phones all the time. I said, no, that's not it. Farm kids aren't like everybody else's kid. Who here grew up on a farm? You know exactly what I'm talking about. They didn't have ADHD as a diagnosis, but every one of our dads had a Ritalin belt.
Yeah.
We were raised different.
That's right, I took care of it.
The whole issue with essentially picking on your booth, from what I saw, I was also a vendor at the fair, and it seemed to me very selective enforcement. It was my first time at the fair, and I read the vendor contract very carefully because I didn't want to get kicked out in case I violated a rule. So I knew what the rules were. I also knew what the deadlines for payments were. I know of another booth that was at the fair that had not paid their dues as of, I believe it was Wednesday of the fair week. So there was a lot of selective enforcement and not following the rules.
Yeah. The other thing is, they got mad at us for showing that flyer, and I have it on good, I have it on, good authority, that they had one of those flyers up in the other booth showing it to people, trying to get people angry at us. Now, why is it they can show that flyer, but we can't? Exactly. It was, we don't like you, so we'll make the rules fit to get rid of you. And that's what it's about.
So what's the upshot of this conversation? What are you going to do about it?
Well, I think what we need to do is get on the board. I think we need to get some people on the board. The other thing is this. Sometimes if you just show up in numbers, if you go around the county, and I think Mark will attest to this, go around the county and go to these township board meetings, you'll be lucky if you see 1 or 2 people there. Unless there's an issue, and then boy, there's 8, right? Do this as just a social experiment. Get 20, 30, 40 people from your church together. Don't say anything. Don't telegraph it. Show up at your next township meeting and just fill that place with 40 people. Don't say a word. Don't say a word. And you will watch them have to clean the pee out from underneath 5 different chairs. Guarantee it. That, when the numbers show up, they're like, okay, what did we do wrong? What are you unhappy about? What are you unhappy about? That's what it's all about, right? Because if the people are happy, they don't show up and I'm king and I can do what I want to. It's about showing up. 90% of keeping our republic is showing up. 10% is speaking up. but we gotta show up. 90% of keeping the Republic is showing up. So even at that, even if we just show up, and we've got that many there, even if none of us vote, even if they get exactly their way, it sends a message. The message is, there's more of us than there is of you.
It shows interest.
It shows interest. So,
Also shows that we're watching.
yeah, somebody's watching. Go ahead, Mark.
So, go through the process of the timeline of needing to be a member and time to be a board member or vote.
You have to have your applications in, what was it, November 7th we decided it was? It's 30 days. Yeah, so let's back that up and say November 1st. You gotta get your stuff in by November 1st. That way you got a couple days. Because I have to set my clock for 5:30 if I got a 7 o'clock appointment, because I'll miss it.
And the reason for that is because you need to be a member 30 days before the meeting to take a vote.
Yep, on December 2nd.
Well, I don't know when the December meeting is.
Okay.
Nobody does. I've been asking around,
So
nobody knows.
we really should join in the next 2 weeks.
Yes, because they decide to have it on December 1st.
Right.
You gotta be 30 days.
What's the process?
Don't.
Pick up the application at Fair Board?
We have copies here.
Copies here, you give it to Craig.
But-
I can make copies.
Yep, so you can do the application, take your $10, go to the Fair Board, okay.
Is there a meeting before the one that the
There
election?
should be one in October. I hear it's October 23rd. I think it's around 6, 7 o'clock.
I heard that from a few people.
They could make a rule that says, we're gonna do,
Yeah,
in 2 weeks, we're gonna have the board meeting.
right. But think how telling that would be
Yeah.
to the public.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it should say a lot, if people will listen.
yeah.
And that's the thing.
They could put about 80 days if they want.
Yeah.
Their bylaws, I would imagine, have something in there. And this is the other thing, we cannot get a hold of their bylaws. We cannot find their bylaws. We've got people from the old Fair Board members that, they can't find their bylaws. They've been trying to get them for us. They can't get a hold of bylaws. I've been trying to get a hold of bylaws. I've looked all over the internet. We cannot find their bylaws, and they won't give me the bylaws because they won't let me be a member.
Now, one thing too about a 501c3, go ahead.
You should try to contact the prior fair manager, Lori Hall, of Milo Electric, and see if she can provide you with that data.
They've given us a little bit of information. So,
She should have the bylaws. She knows, I mean, she's pretty
even if she
good.
doesn't, she should have pretty much memorized.
Oh, yeah, because
She has suffered injustice at the hand of the fair board as well.
Many have.
she's not a yes man.
Well, one of the things is somebody said, well, they could just change their bylaws. Well, here's the thing about a 501c3. 501c3, when you file for 501c3 with the IRS, you have to have what's called incorporating documents. Your incorporating documents that actually incorporate you, the 501c3, are your bylaws. And so your bylaws, because they're your incorporating documents, can only change at the yearly board meeting.
And that's in December, and I don't think they can change it.
In between, they again violated their 501c3, they violated their charter, and they will lose their charter. Just speaking legally.
So my question is this, what are we, perfect world, what are we hoping for?
A whole bunch of people go and.
So, hold on a second. So, all of us join the agricultural, whatever the hell it is. Some people get voted on the board. We get control of the fair. What have we accomplished? You still got kicked out of the fair. You're emotionally pissed off because you get kicked out of the fair. I get that, I'm fine with that. Who are you mad at? You're mad at the fair.
I'll answer this.
Because the fair allowed themselves to be the tool of somebody else.
I'll answer this. You want the answer?
So,
The answer is this. Am I upset we got thrown out? Yeah. Can we go back in history and change that? No. But, do I see an evil in the way in which they're doing things? Yeah. Do I see a way in which we could get in there with an influence and change that and maybe make it more fair for other people so somebody else doesn't go through what I went through? Yeah. Can we go back to a 4-H and make it more of an agricultural fair with that idea of being more fair and more open? Yeah. So, the answer is,
to do good.
Okay, so, had we not got kicked out of the fair, we're not trying to take over the fair.
Had we not,
So there was no evil until we got kicked out.
we didn't notice any evil until it was brought upon me. I can't assume that maybe they might do that and go, well, I'm gonna get in there, make sure that they don't, just in case they do. I can't do anything until they do something. They did the something. Now it's time for me to go, was that something fair or not? If not, if it is to be, it is up to me. Somebody's gotta do something about it. Go ahead.
To me, the answer to that is to be able to dig down to find out who is the person or who were the persons that pulled the strings that got you kicked out, and make that information public, because it was a political person most likely that did it, and not someone that is supposed to be running the fair.
Janice, can I go one above that? And that is, it doesn't matter who did. What matters is that it doesn't happen again. It doesn't matter who committed the wrong.
Those people that are running our county
Right.
need to be accountable, and people need to know the crap that they're pulling on.
I get it. The problem is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And you can show these people all this stuff and they'll go, what? That's stuff. I had, one of the people on the other side said to me, well, what's so bad about what Abe did? I said, well, because he's not going to suffer any retribution or he committed a crime. Now, I'm not saying that Abe's a bad person. Just because Abe did this one thing, I'm not saying that everything he's done his whole life is bad. I actually like Abe. He supported me in 2016. But I said to the same person, do you believe then that Mother Teresa should get a get-out-of-jail-free card to commit murder because she's done so much good in her life? And they said, well, no. I said, exactly. Because everybody has to be judged on the merits of the facts of each situation. That doesn't negate all the good things they did, nor does it make, if they did a bad thing, everything they do from there horrible. They have to answer for that. She said, well, I'm going to go ask the sheriff then. I said, go for it. She went and asked the sheriff, and she said, Penny Swan, videotape me. And here's what the sheriff said. The sheriff said, because he's too close to the situation, it wouldn't be ethical for him to investigate it. But if anybody wanted to call another police agency and make the complaint, they can. And I told this person, good answer. Not the best answer. The best answer is, well, as your chief executive officer, as your Cleo, I can't do it because it would be unethical because I'm too close to the situation. So I have taken all the information that I have and I have sent it to the FBI and the state police, and I've requested that they do an investigation and do with it what they will. That's the best answer. Yes. But that would mean that someone would get investigated, prosecuted, and go to jail. And if I'm so close to the situation because he's a deputy of mine, and I do the, oh, well, I'm too close, so why don't you all do it, and we'll see where it goes. If I go to the FBI, how much credibility am I going to have, and how much are they going to take it? Beep, that much, because they're too busy with everything else. But if a Cleo, if a sheriff contacts them and says, hey, I believe a crime has happened in my community, there's a complaint of it, here's the evidence, would you please investigate it so that we know one way or the other, so that we can go beyond this. They're going to take it, and he knows that. That's why he gave the good answer and not the best answer. So it doesn't matter who threw us out. It doesn't matter about any of that evil. It matters about making the future right by what we do in the present, by making things better, by bringing 4-H back, by getting involved, because now we know that some people are being treated different than others.
Okay, I assume that he said, well, what else have they done? Wasn't about 3 or 4 years ago, you got kicked out of the booth?
Yep.
Okay, what? Maybe we should have done something right then? And then,
we did. We filed a lawsuit. We didn't show up for the lawsuit to let it go to the wayside.
wayside. And the reason why is because if you all remember, I had a videotape of a body camera when Bernie Patel came by my booth. Bernie goes, "Oh, pretty good fair, isn't it?" And I said, "Not really, Bernie." I said, "You guys violated the contract with us." "What?" I said, "Yeah, we could sue the fair and lose lots of money." He goes, "Well, that'd be a terrible thing because of what the fair does for the people of this community." Okay, that was his whole thing. And I didn't want to do anything about the fair, but we had to do something. We had to say, look, we're not going to just have our lunch money taken from us without putting up a fight. So we did file a lawsuit. And when it went to court, we walked away so that it would go to the wayside. Why? To demonstrate our mercy.
But he's saying you gotta fight.
It's that point. We've given mercy so many times, I think they're thinking that we won't fight. This is one of the ways to fight.
So I'm not saying we have to fight. What I'm saying is we need to be focused and we need to understand the problem. A lot of times, under the heat of battle,
Emotions
will take over, right? So, you know, if you go back in the timeline where all this began to where we're at now, was everything clearly thought out? When you lay out a plan, did we lay out a plan? Or did we just go, hey, this seems like a great idea, let's do this? And I wanna make sure, especially if we're doing something as a group, because, oh, by the way, there are community implications here, right? We are doing the best thing, not necessarily just for us, which is of course important to us, but for everybody, right? And to be very focused on how we do that, and to understand any potential repercussions. Ideally, we don't wanna do anything negative, right? And by negative, I don't mean as like, you know, mudslinging or anything, I mean negative impact to the community as a whole.
causes harm.
Right? I mean, granted, there's only 10% of us who are really willing to stand up and do something, but there's that 90% that aren't willing to do something, but we still have to think, or I believe we should still consider their best interest as well.
Absolutely.
And I think it's emotional, and I get it, right? Once again, we've been put on the hot seat, but we need to make sure that what we do is focused, and we understand what our objection is.
I think the biggest,
Absolutely well taken and correct.
I think the biggest thing from my vantage point in regards to that is, we were done wrong. We could emotionally react by going, filing a motion, trying to take their 501c3, watch it burn, you know, but I feel like the community is more behind us in regards to what happened to us. So
And the
let's
fair is
just,
very important to the community.
the fair is important to the community, and it's something that everyone kind of,
It's the biggest social event in this county.
so what's the best way for us to approach it with positivity in mind is, hey, let's try to all get involved with the fair.
Have an impact.
We're using the fair, we go to the fair, we spend money at the fair. Our America First has spent thousands of dollars with the fair in the past 4 years. Hey, if we can make some difference there on the board and get some good people to help make some changes and kind of shift course of where they're going with the fair long term.
Because we don't
I think
even-
it's a win-win-win for everybody.
We don't even
Community, us,
necessarily have to
and
take the fair over. All we have to do is be a positive influence.
Yep.
And if we get in there, sometimes if people just show up, they go, the people that are doing bad go, hey, cool it. Cool it.
So all the talk of taking the fair over and stuff, that's just shorthand. Like, and also, we're not the only ones that are upset with the fair. The 4-H has been upset with the fair for years. Open Class has been upset with the fair for years. There are many, many groups that I've talked to after all this happened. And I talked to, like I said, I've been in the fair a long time, and I know all these people. And I went around and talked to them before this happened and after this happened. They was mad about the fair before this happened. They was even more mad about the fair after this happened. It doesn't have to be just us that does it, but it is just us that is going to make it happen. We are the ones that are going to organize them. I've been talking to them. I know some other people have been talking to them. We have some fair people here that aren't normally in our group that are trying to work with us and get this done. We do not want to run the fair. We do. I have no desire to run the fair. I know you guys have no desire to run the fair.
We don't want to take it over.
I want somebody agriculture that runs the fair. It's an agricultural fair, and I want somebody with an agricultural mind, an agricultural mindset, and business sense to run the fair. I don't want the undersheriff of the county running the fair. That is ridiculous, in any sense. It shouldn't have happened to begin with. It never should have happened, especially what's going on in Hillsdale County. Everybody knows what's going on in Hillsdale County, And the fact the undersheriff is the president of the fair is insane, insane. And I think everybody understands that too.
All right, 2 more questions, then we're gonna do the raffle and wrap it up because we gotta get out of the church, so.
Just a comment more than a question. Gentleman in the red shirt says, well, what can you do? What can you do? This is like a calling card for us to get involved on the boards, on the township halls, with the hospital board, with Lifeways, with schools all around the county.
You're exactly right. It's an
Start
eye-opener.
there
It's
and
an
really
eye-opener.
make a difference.
Yeah, it's an eye-opener to like, hey, this is the only thing we should be involved in our civic duty. It should be our townships. It should be in the city.
The library board, you know, we come here once a month, and this is probably the most insignificant meeting you can come to. There's so many others that we can go to, the library board, the hospital board, all these different things, all these places that we should go and have our influence.
Yeah.
We the people. And we don't even, we used to fill this room with 150 people. We're not even there now. I mean.
I thought there was gonna be 60 more people here. I'm surprised how many people have not shown up today.
If it is to be, it is up to me, period. That's all there is.
Just to be clear, I'm not saying we shouldn't do anything, this is my concern. If it's for the betterment of the fair, we do it. If it's retribution, you wrong me, I'll show you I'm taking over, I'm against that.
I gotta agree. I'd be the same way. I'm the same way. Because that doesn't make us any better than the bully. You can, I can't even remember who said I stared into the abyss until I saw myself staring back. That is exactly it. You have to be able to take care of the bully without becoming that which you hate. And we can't do that.
The problem is, I would say, with being a member of the Ag Society, like, you really don't have a vote on anything except for at that December meeting. The only way that you're ever gonna change anything, if we're talking about the fair, in particular, somebody at the fair shouldn't be there, is being being on the board. And the only way you can do that is to run and be voted in at the one December meeting that there is.
Be politically connected.
So, I mean,
Look, and I agree with you, there's gonna be some people that are gonna wanna run and be on the board. But that doesn't mean that people that don't wanna be on the board still don't have some influence
Right.
just by showing up. Sometimes just showing up is 90% of keeping your republic, 90% of keeping people in check, just showing up.
And it's a mistake to think that we're fighting the entire fair board. There's a lot of people on the fair board that are very upset about what happened. They're very upset about what happened to us. They're upset about what happens to the 4-H. They're upset with what happens to the open class. It's just that they are outnumbered, and they are.
Is it anything that can be corrected?
All this can be corrected with the right people in charge.
It's about a 60-40 split.
I would say it's only outnumbered by a couple people.
Right.
That's all it is. I know, because I've sat there.
People just need help, and we need people to show up to help them. They know what's going on.
I mean, you guys are here for help to tell us, right? And you'd like people
More
to
than
show
just
up and help.
fair, because, I mean, more than just fair board, because that same thing is trickling down into our community and
It always
affecting our
does.
businesses.
It's all connected.
So,
And you know, these folks here,
Yes.
like, the insight that they've been able to give us in a small snippet tonight has been
Invaluable.
invaluable. You know, and I mean, I appreciate you guys coming and giving us that info, because it's stuff that I'm learning just tonight from you guys, so I appreciate it. Going back to what Steve said, we're gonna take that information and use it in a positive force, in a positive manner together, you know. Okay. All right. We got a few things here we're gonna give away, and we'll start with 1240, 290-1240. Who is it? Who's got it? All right, get to pick. We got a couple what do we got? Donald Trump ducks, alligator Alcatraz hat, and a "Don't Tread on Me" flag. All right, next one, 1268.
1268. All right, Annie, come on up. Sweet. Thank you. $12.47. $12.47. Very cool. All right, last one. $12.50. $12.50. There we go. Awesome. All right, so anybody that wants to do the ag member application, we have them here tomorrow, 2 o'clock. If you can arrive at the fair office,
I will be there.
Lance will be there. Let's come in full force if you're available, so we can, make a difference. There's power in numbers, and this is where we can make some influence for the betterment.
Just wondering if you have a plan in case they say, we need to take all of yours to the board for approval.
That'd be very interesting.
I will have it recorded.
Yep.
And if they are going to be that stubborn, a lawyer might get involved.
Okay, good. As long as there's
Because
a plan.
it is against state, it is against the law for them to do that.
Okay. I'm just-
We don't want it to come to that.
I don't wanna do that.
Let's play the game fair here,
Yeah.
So, I think that's it for tonight. Thank you all for coming tonight. I know this is a little different than our meetings, but we're trying to do a few different little things here, so I appreciate everyone's participation. Members of America First, there'll be emails coming out. Our members only Christmas party is slated for December 6th. So the more details will be coming out on that. It's a really good time, and we look forward to having you. And if you're interested in becoming a member, we do have membership applications, and our 2026 membership drive is going to start next month as well. So thank you, everybody. If you need anything, give us a call. Oh, hang on one second. Hours, if you can't make it tomorrow, for the fair office is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 8 to 4. I don't know when their lunch is because they don't post that, but Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. If you can't make it tomorrow, at 2 o'clock. $10, yeah.
And they have been closing Wednesday, and they have been closing at 2 instead of 4 lately.
Hey, we got some buns, if anybody wants to take some buns.